Tony Hinchcliffe has gotten himself into some new drama recently. His name is already one of the most controversial in stand-up comedy, and there's a reason for that. He likes to cross the line with offensive and discriminatory jokes, and he never apologizes for anything he says. He doubles down even when the whole internet is on fire, and that attitude just keeps adding fuel to the hate he already gets. Besides that, he's starting to get paranoid. Tony started reading the hate comments and what people are saying about him. Also, in a recent Joe Rogan episode with Jeff Dye, when they start talking about hate, Joe mentions he talked to Tony about it, which basically means Tony was bothered by something. From this alone, you can tell something got under his skin.
People go, aren't you afraid of AI? No, I'm not afraid of AI. What I'm afraid of is clips, short context things. This short, real thing that is out of context. It's not a 3-hour conversation. No one's listening to Trump in long form. No one listened to Charlie Kirk in long form. The people that were informed did. Right. But I'm saying the everyday person is kind of collecting these excerpts, right, and then forming a group think about those excerpts, and the group think becomes their reality.
That's very true.
And I'm afraid of that for you.
Yeah, that's true in some ways, but it's also benefits you in some ways too. It's like there's good and bad. Like there's little things that you'll say that are funny that make it into clips, and that's good too. It's like the thing. Like I was talking to Tony about this because we were talking about people that complain about his show and talk shit about his show. I go, dude, they work for you. They don't realize it, but they work for you. They're the publicity arm, the negative publicity arm for the Kill Tony show. You don't worry about it and don't care.
Yeah.
You can't,
Write a book on that. Teach me how to not care.
You just got to get to a point where you don't have to care anymore.
Joe Rogan is completely right about this because every time some public figure gets caught up in drama, yeah, they get a wave of hate, but they also get a ton of views, which means more money. So in a way, it really is a free promotion. The problem is when someone doesn't rely on their actual talent and instead builds their whole career on drama and being controversial. And Tony is definitely one of the most controversial guys out there, mostly because of some of his more offensive jokes. For example, during his performance at Donald Trump's rally in Madison Square Garden, he told a joke referring to Puerto Rico as a floating island of garbage.
There's a lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay. All right. Okay. We're getting there.
This sparked a lot of backlash from several high-profile Puerto Rican artists, including Bad Bunny, Jennifer Lopez, and Nicky Jam. After that, Joe Rogan explained on his podcast that he had previously warned Hinchcliffe not to use that joke because it could get him into serious trouble.
I gotta tell you, that joke kills at comedy clubs. I don't like the joke. It kills. And I said to him, it's just like, if you're Puerto Rican and you hear that in the audience, like, oh, but it's a funny joke. The joke does well. But I said to him, I go, dude, that's the one that's going to get you stabbed.
Really?
Yes. And he used to talk about it on stage, saying, Joe Rogan always says, that's the one that's going to get me stabbed. Like,
wow.
Which is so crazy.
Yeah.
I think you'd pick stabbed at this point, given the shit that's going down.
I think it'll blow over, just like all these things do.
Yeah,
and
of
there's people that are always going to hate someone like Tony, and it's going to make other people love him more. It's just like he's going through it right now.
And on top of that, he's made other racist comments about Latinos, Jewish people, and black people. And also, let's not forget the 2021 incident in Austin, Texas, where he threw an anti-Asian slur at Chinese-American comedian Peng Dang, then started doing a fake Chinese accent and piling on Asian stereotypes. The backlash from that got him dropped by his talent agency, and several of his shows were canceled. I get that what Tony does is roast comedy, and that's part of the style. I get that some people genuinely find that stuff funny, but in my opinion, there are lines you just shouldn't cross to the point where it becomes straight up offensive. After that situation, a lot of people were genuinely upset and disgusted by how he acted. And on top of everything, when they called him out, he publicly said he would never apologize for his jokes. There's still a ton of backlash around him to this day, and people haven't really let any of it go. And from time to time, the internet reminds him of every single thing he's done. So yeah, the negativity around Tony is definitely still alive, and apparently he's finally starting to care about what people are saying about him. In a recent podcast, Joe Rogan and Ethan Hawke started talking about how hate can mess with public figures. The interesting thing is that Joe admits he talked to a well-known comedian about this, but he doesn't say who. But I'm 100% sure he's talking about Tony Hinchcliffe. I mean, who else would it be?
I've seen it happen to actors, especially if you're doing stage. I'm sure with comics, it's when you're doing a play and you have to do it every night and you start reading a lot of bad things that people say about you, it is demolishing to your confidence.
I had the exact same conversation last night with a famous comedian friend of mine.
Really?
I won't say his name, but he went down a Reddit rabbit hole the other night.
I don't do it anymore. I don't do it.
He goes, I fucked up and I went down this rabbit hole.
Don't do it. Don't do it. No good comes from it.
And he was like, they fucking hate me. I go, no. They hate themselves. They hate everything. There's no, like, Michael Jordan's not leaving Reddit comments. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, these aren't winners.
On the surface, Tony Hinchcliffe always tries to act like he's bulletproof, but lately, it really feels like the hate is starting to get to him. The real question is whether this will push him to actually change, or if he's just going to keep spiraling until something forces him to. On top of everything, Tony recently got himself into drama with Luis J. Gomez after someone tweeted at Luis saying the best comedians are in Austin, Texas. Then, Luis got annoyed and replied that the best comedians are actually in New York, and then Tony jumped into the whole thing with an annoying comment.
So I said on Twitter, somebody was like, oh, you should do Skankfest in Austin, the best comics are there. So then I replied, quote tweeted him, the best comics are in New York, bozo. Tony goes, he quotes that and then goes, name them.
Why would he say name them?
Then he goes, Attell, ... then ... then this face.
Is that his face?
That emoji. And then the American flag. Yeah. Then he said, I love you. We bust each other's balls about this. But then I wrote, Attell, Soder, Mark Norman, Joe List, Robert Kelly, Big J, Schultz, Louis C.K., Chris D, Are You Garbage Guys, Ari Shafir, Colin Quinn, Norton, Sam Morrill, Todd Barry, Jim Gaffigan, Giannis Stavros, Nick Mullen, Tim Dillon, Adrian Appalucci, Jordan Jensen, Nikki Glazer, Michael Che, Pete Davidson, to name a few.
You can literally feel the attitude behind Tony's comment. He wanted to downplay the entire New York scene. So to prove him wrong, Luis named one of the best New York comedians and asked Tony to do the same.
He goes, there's Ron White, Rogan, Segura, Roseanne, McCusker, Sebastian, Christina P., Bert, 6 weeks a year, Hinchcliffe, he called himself Hinchcliffe, Brian Simpson, and then the Kill Tony regulars. Literally, again, bigger draws than everyone you listed.
He switched the thing up. He went bigger draws
no.
than funny.
Yeah.
That's a different argument.
Do you know what Mike Britt could do in a minute on Kill Tony?
Also, are these guys bigger draws than Mark and Sam? No. Mark's doing multiple shows at the Beacon. Ari's doing multiple at the Beacon.
Sam's doing Carnegie Hall.
Yeah.
Did you get him to budget all, or was he just like, you guys can't sell tickets, and that was the end of the conversation?
No, that was that. He didn't.
But selling
we're
tickets
just busting
is
each other. We're just busting each other's balls. Selling tickets is different.
There's
than being
plenty
funny.
of people that sell tickets that aren't as funny as their ticket sales.
But plus, we have the ticket sellers also. We have them beat in that department also.
It's not even a fucking debate. And I love Austin. It's my favorite place to go do comedy in the world. It's so fun. But you can't fucking deny what New York's been building for 5 decades of just the absolute best.
Tony knows damn well New York is stacked with killers, but he's so deep into this Austin pride thing that he acts like the rest of the country suddenly fell off. It also feels like he's trying to defend Austin because he knows a lot of people still clown that scene. So maybe Tony took this as an attack on his whole identity. Also, Luis has a very good point here. Just because a comedian sells a lot of tickets doesn't automatically mean they're good or genuinely funny. And when it comes to who's funnier, I think that's completely a matter of personal taste. Every comedian has a different style, and every person has a different sense of humor, so of course there are going to be a lot of different opinions. Still, there is no doubt that New York is still considered the powerhouse of stand-up. It's the city known for the grind, the endless reps, and the biggest concentration of established comics, which keeps it dominant in terms of reputation and overall influence. Austin's comedy scene, despite its rapid growth, still carries a reputation problem. Comedians openly describe it as a place that hasn't earned the same respect or seriousness as New York.
All the guys who are doing the Mothership, that small room, every one of them that moved from New York couldn't even get on stage at the Stand. Couldn't even get on stage at the New York Comedy Club. These guys were failing in fucking New York. That's a fact. It's an absolute fact.
Trying to start a war.
No, it's no war. They know what the fuck's up. They left New York because they couldn't cut it here. Let's get real.
Yeah.
Facts.
Let's get real.
This statement hits on a very real dynamic in the comedy world. New York clubs have decades of gatekeeping, long-running lineups, and a massive pool of comics fighting for limited spots. Getting past there is a concrete achievement. Also, New York has multiple major clubs, each with its own standards, bookers, and expectations. Austin, by contrast, has a smaller number of high-profile stages, and many of them are connected through the same social circle. That means a comic who is close to Tony, Rogan, or the Mothership ecosystem can get opportunities that have nothing to do with whether they could compete in New York. Tony often acts like Austin is superior, but that attitude only makes sense if he ignores the fact that New York is still the center of stand-up development. The truth is that Austin, being a smaller pond, is exactly what allows Tony to be a bigger fish there, and if you think about it, comics typically move from smaller scenes to bigger ones, from local clubs to major cities. But Austin's boom reversed that flow. Many comics moved away from New York to Austin, not because they conquered New York, but because Austin offered easier access, more stage time, and a built-in audience. When you look at the full picture, Luis called out the entire Austin scene, and Tony Hinchcliffe ended up being a central part of that criticism, whether he likes it or not.